Hey guys, greetings and welcome to episode number 23 of Suits and Sports. My name is Ryan James, and along with our founder, Mr. Subhrajit Chanda, I would like to welcome our esteemed guest for this session. He is a Dutch football manager. He was the youngest coach ever to obtain the UEFA Pro license under the official guidelines of Dutch Football Association. He was the coach of two prominent ISL clubs, the Kerala Blasters and the Northeast United FC. During his time with Northeast United, he took them to their first ever playoff campaign. He's a manager well known for his possession based and progressive football style of play. Along with the confident body language of a fierce leader, it's Mr. Eelco Schattorie. Hi, Eelco, sir. How are you?
Good. First, I apologize for not wearing a suit. That would be more suitable also for the title of your podcast or your program. Instead, I made sure that I had a good haircut, look still decent, so I'm ready to go.
Nicer, nicer, Mr. Nice saying you have told us. So first of all, it's also welcoming from my side because we are meeting for the first time. So I just want to know one thing, sir, from you. So basically, I'm from Calcutta, and you have once upon a time came in Calcutta. You coached East Bengal for a certain period of time.
Yes,
So how was your
correct.
experience of Indian football in the Derby, the Calcutta Derby, East Bengal and Mohun Bagan?
Yeah, my first derby was actually, yeah, I said it also in other interviews before, but it was actually there's a story to it that I had a kidney stone. During that game, I was in a lot of pain coaching that game because I had a kidney stone that I got 2 or 3 days before, and yeah, I was not able to remove that, of course, right away. But the Kolkata Derby, it's unfortunately that at the moment now in ISL that they can't play it with the audience, with the spectators, because yeah, that's very special. It is intense. It is great to experience. It's one of the I never knew before that the Kolkata Stadium of the Salt Lake Stadium before was the third biggest stadium in the world. It changed now because there are more sitting seats, but before it was the third biggest stadium when I was still there in the world. So it was all an impressive experience, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
So, sir, people say we have El Clasico, Madrid and Barcelona. Then the English Premier League derbies, we have City United. So you are from European country. You came first time in India. So for East Bengal, so how you feel like? Do you enjoy the game of Mohun Bagan and East Bengal? Because we Calcuttas, we are always fighting between East Bengal and Mohun Bagan.
Yeah, my first stint, my first time in India was not with East Bengal. It was with at that time was Prayak United, and Prayak United was a small club that suddenly got a big sponsor, and they participated in the I League. And I remember that time we won the AFI Shield against East Bengal in the final. We won the AFI Shield. It was a big achievement, and during that season, after that season, almost the season was finished. There was a how do you call it? There was the chit fund. There was some kind of bad
Yeah.
things going on behind the scenes. So the sponsor of Prayak United had to retreat, and yeah, it became basically a smaller club again. They couldn't pay my salary anymore, so I had to go. And then I think 2 or 3 years later, I came back to East Bengal. This was from the first time the ISL started. So I came in the second part of the season, and I stayed only for 3 months with East Bengal. It was a very intense 3 months. Also, the president at that time of East Bengal was in jail. It was a very unstable situation. And it was very difficult for me to handle all these problems at once. I always said that I came at the wrong time to this club. I just wanted to work, didn't have too much chance to do a lot of research. It was like it's now or never. So I took that chance. But when I came, yeah, it was a very chaotic situation. And I think we finished still third in the league. But I got a lot of injuries because players came back from the ISL. A lot of East Bengal players, they were at that time with the ISL. It was a different format. So they played with ISL, but then came back to the club. Yeah, and they were like playing 2-3 games every 2-3 days. It was a very short time. They played a lot of games, and yeah, that caused me some problems. So, but in the end, great experience, intense experience. Mohun Bagan, East Bengal, yeah, is something special to experience. The fans coming to the game in all those small trucks, fully loaded, through Kolkata was really nice to see. It was a something that I will always cherish for the rest of my life in my coaching career.
Perfect, sir. So Ryan, it's on you.
So
So
speaking on
what's in your
fan
mind?
engagement, sir, you were also part of Kerala Blasters, and their fan club has been getting the best fan club award over the years. So, and I think you were the last coach to experience the setup with the fans. So, what was that like, sir?
Yeah, I would say go have a look at the maybe there's on YouTube, or you will find some where yeah, had some big. I remember 2 years in a row. It was one with Northeast, but also at the Kerala Blasters. Is they had a big banner with "In Eelco We Trust," and when supporters show some support towards the coach and to chant your name, that is always a good thing. From the other side, I am a very transparent and open person. They always tell me don't communicate with fans on social media, and that's one of the things the club actually listened to me, that I told them you need to communicate with supporters. You need to tell them what's going on, and if you don't do it, I will do it, because they need to understand on the process. They're doing that this season much better. You can see more engagement, and that is something that yeah, I like to do. And that doesn't mean I go into deep discussions with fans, but I do try to interact with them, because it's your backbone. It's the people that come to see your game, so you need to give them information of what you're doing. Normally that's the job of the club, but if they don't do it, I do it, and yeah, that is something that is always respected. I always get still a lot of messages from Kerala fans, and even Northeast fans also. So I'm always so happy to engage with the audience, because that's what you're doing it for. Football is for the audience.
So in this case, I will not ask for the fan interaction. I will just ask you one thing. So you are the one of the lucky person, I will say, who has went to three cities which are the bestly known for football. One is the northeastern part, one is the Calcutta, and one is the Kerala, like the Bengal, and so these three states are specifically known for football. So, but whose football style you like? Whose condition you have been like you like the most?
Yeah, of course, that's a very dangerous question, because India is very political, but at the same time, I'm never scared to address my opinion. I will say it like this: see, India overall is still in development in football, but if you look at, I think, the best talents, or where you almost have an assurance that you get strong, technical, developed players, they come from the Northeast. I think a lot of Northeast players, they yeah, you can see them in all the teams, in every team of ISL. If you go to Kolkata, before, almost every player out of the country who was good either would be playing for East Bengal or for Mohun Bagan. So they get their education there and then went on. But what I see in Kolkata is the love for football, the passion, but more of an, yeah, how do you say that? Because the derby, there's a certain aggression towards each other that is something special, and that makes also that players at that time learned how to deal with that pressure. So mentally at that time, I think you get stronger players from Kolkata mentally. And Kerala, I see a lot of players who have like raw, great talent. Yeah, there are many I can mention, even players who never played in ISL. You see sometimes from these videos coming by, players who play in how do you call it, somewhere in a deserted area. You show the video, they have amazing skills. So all three have a fantastic contribution to Indian football. But if you tell me like where is the most stable contribution, in my opinion, that would be Northeast, because I think there you find most players showing up in ISL teams, but it has nothing to do with quality. It has more to do with probably the infrastructure of the football. I think in Northeast, also in every village or whatever, that you find a small football club and they have their own leagues, etc. So that is not very strange that you will get more supply from there.
Very true, sir. Sir, so you just mentioned about how India is in the developing stage of football. So what do you think a country like India should do, especially with the grassroots level? Because the grassroots level are the next generation of football. So what should the system be for the grassroots level of football in India?
You both, you introduced yourself that you, as I'm speaking to a professor at a university. So my point is, I make the relationship to schools. If you want to have a generation of well-educated people, what do? You start at school, and that starts with learning how to read, how to write, etc. And that eventually filters out to university of people who are higher educated. In football, there is no difference. If the young players don't get a certain education at a younger age, when there's no infrastructure to do so, you will never grow in the top. That is impossible. The pool of players, football players in India, is small. In order to make that bigger, a country of 3 billion people, or 2 billion, 1.2 billion, I'm not exactly sure, but you should be able to get much more better players. But that all has to do with infrastructure, and in order to do that, you have to start. I would say a good step would be that each ISL team should have a youth development program, a youth development academy, in order to, and they should compete with each other. That's already a good step in the pyramid upwards to create better Indian football structure. On the upside, so that means on the top side, all the ISL teams itself, they should play more games. If I every day, if I'm going to school and every day only make homework and I don't get tested, I only get maybe 1 or 2 tests, that will not make me grow. And that's in football, is that playing games. The more games you play, the more you develop. So the infrastructure, even in ISL, would be preferably that they play at least 30 to 35, 40 games a season. This eventually will also lead to better results for the national team.
Subhrajit, sir, over to you.
Sir, so sir, I was just want to know one thing here. So this is more specifically towards like the grassroots level you are talking about, right? We have seen certain like academies, like we have Sports Versus India. Then we are now have certain private academic also, right? The Reliance one, and then we have a Tata Academy also. They are the some renowned one, right? So there are 3 academies are there in India, though they are working. But do you find certain lack on this, like like response toward the people? Like in Europe, we have seen like they have been always a development post, like people school and all. They goes directly to them, they talk with them, right? While in Sai and all, we have to go there, right? We have to go there and we have to give trial. Totally different type of totally head and tail type of scenario. So do you think we need to change that part also? Our government need to take certain policies to develop this part also. What's your think on that? Because it's when we say about this like country like India, developing country like India, even we have a developing country Brazil, but you have seen the structure of Brazil, the players from Brazil or Argentina in compare of India, it is nothing towards them, but if you see the monetary condition, we are better than them.
Yes, but there's one big difference, and that is always, you always need to see the bigger picture. Is in order to succeed in something, you have a trajectory from A to B, and within that trajectory you need to be able to make steps to compete. That's a better word, to compete with other people who are at your level in order to grow. You cannot grow if you cannot compete. So what I want to say with this is that we can look at all kinds of things in the education for players, like they do in Europe. You have younger players going to school, etc. But the pure football part is, I call it always the football pyramid. So if a young boy, a young player from, let's say 10, 9, 10 years old, if he goes to the Tata Academy or any other academy in India, he will get maybe some great training within the academy, but for him to compete with other teams, with other players, that will make him a better player. And there is no infrastructure where they play actually competitive games. Maybe they play a few, but in our year calendar, there will be only very few times they really play against opponents that where they can compete with. And that is what actually makes you grow. And that infrastructure is simply not there. So you can have academies, a few private academies, but if there's no infrastructure of competing with each other, a league set up, you will never grow. That's impossible. So that's the thing that is mostly missing in India. And all the other things, they are relevant, but less relevant. If you really want to develop the football, the quality of the football player, and as a whole country, then there need to be an implementation, a platform of playing games on the youngest level and on the highest level, and that is not there.
Very valuable point, sir. So my next question to you is a little more in regard from a coaching perspective. So many a times athletes or footballers, they lose their composure while they're on the field, and it is directly linked to a mental perspective. But yeah, people lose their composure, they lose their mind, and the same thing applies to the people working professionally. Like, it doesn't have to be footballers. Everybody who does their work, there is a time when they lose their composure, they lose their peace of mind. So as a coach, what is it that you tell your players usually when they're going through a stage where they might lose their temper, or they might lose their, they might come out too aggressive? So what do you tell them as a coach to contain themselves?
That's a very, very interesting and good question. Why? I myself, I'm a very animated person. I would say that emotionally I'm very stable, but at the same time, if you look a little bit of psychology, everyone has triggers. One of the triggers that I have is injustice. If I feel injustice, my emotion, my physical state will almost become like a volcano. And one of the things is, over time, I know, most of the time I know exactly, okay, till here I can go and not further. I have to be careful that I don't become too animated. And that is all a matter of, because when you're under stress, when you are in a situation where result has to be you don't have the time to say to stop the game and just easily reflect on what you're doing. It has to happen now. We need to win. But then it's a matter of having a certain focus, and that focus, how to do that. Some are stronger than others. What I always do when I feel that a player mentally is not able to deal with certain pressure during games, you can do two things. You remove him, or you try to help him and let him undergo that process. And one of the things I always say, if I know that a young player is under stress or is a bit scared, I always say, any mistake you make is my mistake. I will take it. I will take it for you. If the audience starts shouting at you, I will take it. I will tell them it's my mistake, it's my fault. And slowly, players have to go through the process in order to deal with it. But not everyone, there's not a black and white procedure that you can follow in order to succeed in that. Not everybody can take top sports pressure. That's why it's called top sports. And it's very difficult to escape from that pressure, because you are in the game, you need to get the results. So going through it is something that is important, and that's how you learn it. And the second thing is, it's my job to try to guide it and try to give support wherever it's needed. And what to do, how to do it, depends all on the personality of that player. Does he need more an arm of support and an ear to listen to him, or does he need positive words. It depends. There is no clear guidance on that, but mental strength is the most important in everything in life. If you want to really succeed in something, eventually, yes, skill is important, but mental strength is more important. Dedication, the motivation when you have setbacks, that is all mental strength, and it's the most important.
So going from there now, from the field aspect, we want to know some personal question to you, specifically for you,
Okay.
which can be helpful to our student. So first of things, we want to know like how your career started, like being a coach, because we also know you have a degree from University of Liverpool of management. So the pupil, some of the students, they have always asked this question, like how can we cooperate with the both two of the things, like a study and also playing,
Yeah.
like practicing on the other side. So you are from a reputed university also, and from there you were also one of the prominent coach of the world. So you are now on the top of the thing, but you also started from ground level. So just want to know, sir,
Yes.
like how the career started, like how we can, like how can motivate the student to cooperate with the both of these two things.
No. First of all, I was a very talented football player when I was young. Had skills that nobody else could do. Was recruited for a professional club in Holland at a young age. I think 10 or 11 I was. Went to this club, went through their whole academy, and when I was 18 years old, unfortunately, I had a very direct personal problem. That was that my mother committed suicide. And that was at a stage where I was just making the step to the first team. And that put me completely off of the football. I was not motivated. And there's logic. That process to deal with that setback was very difficult. That eventually I stayed with football, but I did not have that full drive and energy to stay on that level. I stepped back to a little bit lower level. And also was already, because I did like a sports university is in Holland. I already started with how to teach in sports. One specific part was also football. I had some internships in during this education with a club in Holland, VVV Venlo, and basically started coaching on a very young age. Eventually, I stopped football myself because I couldn't, because of the incident I had, I couldn't really get to the level that I wanted mentally. Eventually, that led me to being mentally actually very strong as a coach, to deal and understand players who are going through difficult times when they in their development phase. So I became very young a coach. Later, I really regretted that I stopped the active football career because football is still the most beautiful thing, and I was very talented. But eventually, I would have probably not led me to the career I had now as a coach. All the experience that I had. Now, specifically to how to go through certain mental phases is, I always come back. You cannot plan something from A to B without having certain setbacks, and from those setbacks you grow, you become mentally stronger by evaluating them and dealing with them, and that's how you get better. In my career path is actually paved in a way where I had a lot of setbacks, even dealing with clubs or environments where football is not that developed. So you have to work with less organized structures. That makes you, and as Indian people, you should understand it very well, because Indian people overall, if you talk about a big majority, has poverty. So in order still to have a proper life, you have to be creative. You have to, whenever you have a problem, you always see, for instance, on a scooter, you see 4 people on a scooter going to a certain place. Why? Because there's not enough, don't have a scooter. So, but we still find a solution. And mental strength is mainly built on dealing with those setbacks, being creative, find different ways to do something. And I always that's always my advice. Either you're a student in school or in sports or whatever. If you really want to reach something, I always say take the bull by the horns, go for it, and every setback that you get in life, welcome them as actually an opportunity to to find a different solution, and that's what actually build your skill and also build your mental strength. But I do think that part of it, in India is something that is really well organized, or that have people naturally, they will find a way. The thing that Indian people could focus more on is a little bit of creativity. As you know, the structure of hierarchy is very well implemented. That means you always listen to your elder, while sometimes they say don't listen to him and just go your own way and be a bit more creative. So you have to find the balance there, and that is something in India where I say also focus a bit more on creativity, find creative solutions, not always listen to what the elderly tells you, either the coach. I even stimulate it to my players, not only listen to what I say, sometimes come up with different solution and show the coach, see coach, I can also do it like this. So, but in the end, go for it, welcome setbacks and evaluate them well. And that's how you grow. I think I try to put it in a nutshell to explain how I think how you should build your career. It's never a straight line, never it is, and you need to welcome that.
So that's a very great and very good perspective, sir. So my question to you is, sir, if Mr. Eelco Schattorie wasn't into football, which other sport would you be into?
Besides sports, I would be in music probably. I am a big music fan. I come from a musical family. My father was a guitarist. I am named, my first name is actually a famous Dutch guitarist, Eelco Schattorie. I play a little bit of guitar, but I like to sing, I like to dance, I love music. So probably my career would have gone there. If I had to choose a sport, yeah, there are a lot of sports I like. I like ping pong, I like big badminton, I like basketball, tennis. If you would ask me to choose one, would be difficult because I really like a lot of sports. I still till today I always stay busy. I'm 50 years old. I want to stay healthy. I will always how to call it? I will always be attached to any sports. There are a few sports I don't like, but in general, to choose one sport, I don't know. Would be a difficult one. There are too many.
So I won't put you in that position. Over to Subhrajit, sir. Sir will formally thank you. A vote of thanks.
First of all, also thank you for your time. You have taken a time for like from your daily busy schedule, and you came here so just to we can motivate the students, because our main motive, our organization main motive is to like the motive the young generation to go for young studies and all sport, whether it's a sports in the field or it's a sports education, and you have helped us in that. So really, I'm really appreciate and I'm really grateful to you for that. So before going, what will be your final motive quota for our next generation?
For the most important thing, I always tell my son, actually that is what my father also taught me. I always tell him, you can do whatever you want in life, but if you get into trouble, you also solve it yourself. The lesson from that quote that I took from my father is, I always learned how to think before I did something. So that doesn't mean I didn't do stupid things in life, but I always had I still till today, before I'm going to do something, I first think about it. I'm not a very impulsive person. That is one. And two, follow your dream. Whatever people tell you, follow your dream. If you have that passion in your heart to do something that you want to do, follow it, and don't let anyone make you think different or do different, because in the end you will regret it if you didn't follow that line. There are examples, too many all over the world, where people say, I wish I did. I wish I committed to something that I always loved. So I always say, stick to that at all costs.
That's awesome, sir. So thank you so much once again. So before leaving, could you like in Dutch tell our viewers to like, share, and subscribe in Dutch?
Voor alle liefhebbers van deze podcast, please share en like deze podcast. En ja, hopelijk was het een mooie podcast. En see you again.
Thank you so much, sir.